Morning and welcome to the Morning Charge. This program is brought to you by Reyactive, and your host is me, Chris Kerr. Thanks for showing up and checking us out today. Today, actually, there's a lot of more news today, and a lot of it is not good news either. I guess it depends on kind of how you look at it. We're going to just do a quick overview of some of the news that's bullet pointed on Google. You can go take a look at a variety of different news sources for the actual content. We're only going to share a couple of things today, and it should just be a quick in-out show for you. So starting off on Google, one of the things that has really been a thorn in the business person's side has been this whole debate about the role of banks and whether they need to be these gigantic entities to be able to handle the international complexities of major business, international business transactions. And every country has tried to grow their banks to be bigger and stronger and able to compete on that international basis. But with all the news about the bank issues, the bank frauds, the money laundering, the international rules that they can't kind of keep track of or refuse to, all the various scandals that banks are going through right now, it's interesting. I don't know that I want to say refreshing. I don't want to say it's positive or negative, but it's interesting to see former Citibank chief Sandy Weil talk about the idea that maybe it's time that we need to break up some of the larger banks. Since he was one of the architects of growing the banks in the first place, now to talk about breaking them up is kind of an interesting thing. Most of us talked about this many years ago as they were building up the banks in the first place, that we needed to do this with a better plan, and that kind of got shoved off to the wayside. Now it looks like we need to be looking at this concept again much more seriously, regardless of whether it's American banks, British banks, Japanese, Russian, China. It doesn't matter what country. Your banks are an important feature of your economy, but they're also, in some cases, perhaps your most dangerous feature of your economy. So it's certainly worth looking into banks and any financial institutions. That includes insurance as well. Right now, of course, available on Business, USA Today's article, a variety of other companies, Business Week, CNBC, they all have information about this particular issue. Further in the news, still reviewing the Apple announcement and the stock response to that. Not sure that it's necessarily validated, but if you want to find out why people are very disappointed in Apple's announcement of billions of dollars of profit, there's lots of news available for that. I think especially for Arizona or for a lot of the U.S. states that were hard hit by the housing collapse, the news about the unexpected fall, and I have no idea why anyone would say it was unexpected. This has been something that has been talked about for some time, and we should expect another serious fall in September when there's another range and swath of new mortgage foreclosures and a variety of other issues that come to pass that are scheduled for September. Housing prices are going up and they're going down because people are hoping things are turning around. There's no evidence yet that I've seen that shows that there is a strong ongoing demand for new homes or even existing homes. That there's certainly an interest, but people don't have the money to do it. So it's all a bunch of interesting discussion, but there's nothing there that says this is completely turned around. There's a little movement, but nothing to base your forecasts on. Geithner now is starting to get really checked into based on the LIBOR scandal that we talked about last week. It's going to be a very interesting ride for this gentleman who has faced so many scandals and been implicated in so many of them, and has managed not to be on the wrong end of a prosecution so far, actually. Interesting information to check out about Tim Geithner. Not wishing him to be prosecuted, but there's just too many coincidences that make it look like he needs to have a much stronger investigation into his role in a variety of the major impacts economically that have hit the world, but in particular the U.S. over the last 4 years or 5 years. European stocks, of course, continue to be down. UK, surprise, is in a deeper recession than thought. Well, that's true of just about every country in the world, so I'm not sure that's big news. Delta, US Airways are ahead of estimates on strong demand, it says. Part of that's strong demand, part of that's weaker gas prices. You kind of have to think about that in context. Court upholds airfare pricing rule. You pay the price you see. So you're going to take a look at how that impacts, for example, the United scandal that we saw last week in particular, or this week, I guess, the previous Sunday. And a variety of other pieces of news. You can certainly find it on your own. But I think the one that I thought was most interesting in the nuances of things was this firing of the CEO of Symantec. You might want to take a look into some of the information behind that, because Symantec they're the makers of the Norton antivirus system. They have a huge role in protecting the world from some of the most destructive viruses that could completely level our economic infrastructure. So they're a huge player in that. They're not the only player, but they're a huge player in that. And to see shares surge by 16% on the basis of firing their CEO, you really want to take a look at why that happened and how that impacts the providing of service to you and how it has impacted the providing of service to you so far. It's a very interesting story. So that's it for news today. That's all of the news we've got today. Going to go into our one tool that we're going to share, which is Skillshare, actually. And Skillshare.com is an interesting site. It's a New York-based startup, but it's pretty much everywhere, certainly in the U.S., designed to help connect experienced business professionals, in particular small business pros, with people who want to learn their skill sets and expertise. So if you're a trainer of any subject matter, in particular this focuses largely on live in-class training, certainly Skillshare will help connect you to people who want to take those classes. And you can earn money through it. Skillshare signing up, I understand, is free. The only time there's a fee of some kind, I believe, is if there's an e-commerce transaction. But look into it and find out for yourself what value there is, because you can always either add to your income with an extra revenue stream by teaching a couple of classes, or if you're a full-time trainer, this is another way to get your courses put out there and profit from it. And if you're looking to find out what additional courses are available or what you could teach, here's the site to go take a look at it. Skillshare.com. It's another wonderful new startup, in this case in New York, that's helping a lot of people and a lot of businesses get back on track. And now in Reyactive news, I'm a little late to the dance on this. However, we just discovered that Ketel One has a campaign on right now called A Gentleman's Call. And the premise behind this is that they're looking for an idea that truly represents the gentlemanly spirit, but that also will have some big impact. A real game-changing idea. And whatever idea the public supports out of that, they'll refine it down to a list of, I don't know, a dozen, 16 or so. And then the public will vote on that as well, as kind of a second round. But whatever that idea is, the winning idea, Ketel One will give them a grant of $100,000 to go get that underway. So, unlike a lot of the other competitions, I decided I'd actually give this one a shot. And I came up with this particular idea. It's called Startup Works. It's an international startup support group. And the whole point behind it is that everywhere around the world, entrepreneurship has really come under attack. Everybody is just conditioned to go get a job rather than start a job. And small businesses generate more than 3 times the number of jobs that established 10-year-old businesses do. So the more startups we generate, the more jobs we create. So this is an opportunity where corporations, executives, people with serious expertise or resources can donate to help startups all over the world get running. And there are all sorts of ideas that I have to make that work and more functional, but it's meant to be a completely international body. How to help any company anywhere that's just starting up. Not for existing companies, only for startups. So that's my idea. Please support it. If you have an idea, of course, go to Ketel One, A Gentleman's Call on Facebook and sign up for your own idea and put it out there as well. Maybe you can win $100,000. So that's it today for The Morning Charge. My name is Chris Kerr, and I welcome you back for tomorrow's episode.